Hello, Las Vegas, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate it. On this week's show, we're going to welcome in Josh Rutherford from Slinging It Sports. Hey, what's going on, Josh?
Man, I'm just on a pretty cool golf trip right now.
Yeah, let's explain a little bit about how we met. You introduced yourself to me after our episode with Big Mo ran.
Yes.
And you've spent some time with Big Mo, so
Yeah.
we'll get to that. But let's start at the top. How old were you when you got introduced to the game of golf, and who introduced you to the game of golf?
Just at a young age. I didn't really play golf a lot growing up. I played hockey up in Canada, baseball. Golf was something to kind of just, if you had time for, kind of go. Junior memberships, they still are cheap, but yeah, maybe played like 10, 12 times a year growing up. And then it wasn't until I got into working at a golf course in a back shop to where I took advantage of the free golf when you're like 16 years old. Played a lot more golf then. But yeah, no, getting into the game was kind of just, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go play golf. It was like, do it when your dad wanted to do it. And
Right.
That was pretty much it. And it's more so focused on hockey. Played hockey 10 months of the year. So.
Did you play all through high school, and did you play college hockey?
Yeah. So, yeah, we played high school. I played high school hockey in Manitoba, which is actually pretty big in that province. It's not really big anywhere else in Canada. But yeah, and then I went down to two different schools, actually. I went right out of high school. I went down to a junior college in Bottineau, North Dakota. And then I went back home, played junior hockey for a couple of years, and then went back down to the States after that and finished out down there at Minot State University. So, and I'm lucky enough to win a national championship down there.
Wow, you won
Yeah.
a national title. That's
Yeah,
fun.
That was pretty cool.
I love that. So how did hockey transform to golf after you were done kind of playing?
That's a good question. So I left school actually a year early because I got a job offer in the oil field, which the reason why I left school early was because the starting salary of the oil field is what I would make because I was going to school to be a teacher. I'd have to work as a teacher for 10 years to start at what I was in Canada to start as what I was going to make. So I was like, this is no brainer. So I left school early and started doing that. And I didn't golf for like 2 years and then kind of picked it back up.
Wow. And so when do you get bit? When does it take a hold of you to where, you're bit with the bug?
Well, I'm lucky enough now that I can play year round where I am in Canada. It's one of the only places in the country where you can. So I almost have to tell myself to take a break because I would golf 3-4 days a week if I could. But with what I'm doing and all this stuff, I almost have to tell myself to take a break. I think honestly after this trip, I think I'm going to have 15 rounds in 17 days. So I think I'm going to probably take a couple week break, maybe go to the driving range three or four times in between then. But yeah, definitely have to tell myself to slow down sometimes.
Well, let's start with golf consumption of content then. How were you consuming your golf once you started to get into it? And that could be a lot of different ways. Maybe you just watched golf tournaments, or maybe you got onto YouTube channels, or you got into Instagram. How were you consuming golf when you really started doing that?
We could go back to when I was do you want to know how I started social media or
We're
just
going to
in
get to
general?
that. But
Okay,
what were you absorbing that made you get the idea? We're going to get to
One of my
starting.
best, my biggest memory as a kid is obviously I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan, but it's just Tiger made golf so cool when I was a kid. And I wanted the red Nike shirt. I wanted the Nike golf ball. And it was the fact he just elevated the game so much. And then also when I was younger too, Mike Weir, lefty. I'm a lefty. And
Canadian.
he had a good 6-7 year run on tour, won the Masters, only Canadian ever won a major. So it was super huge at that time for me when I was younger that kind of made me want to get in the game a little bit more. But yeah, I would say Tiger was probably the biggest thing. I remember I could still vividly remember this. We were at a par 3 course in Winnipeg, and it was called Harborview, and me and my sister were literally just kind of scratching through the bucket just to find a Nike golf ball. So that's how big of an influence that guy had on me to try to play golf. So
Yeah. So let's start to content that you're creating. Did you have any, because you started Slinging It Sports how long ago?
I started it in November of 2020, but I technically don't think I was just posting random stuff, memes, reposting people who won on tournaments. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to know I could do something. It was during COVID when I kind of started it up, and it wasn't until June of 2022 when I was going on a golf trip to Calgary that was supposed to be planned 2 years prior. And I had this page and it was just under 3,000 followers at the time. And I was like, you know what? I think I can give this a go. Kind of been watching it now for like a year. And
Who were you watching that you liked? That you wanted to maybe model after?
At that time, I really was just like, it was more so like memes and funny things. But here and there, I can't remember exactly at that time who. Wasn't really a specific person at that time. But once I got into it and I started growing a little bit, I know this has been said on your show. Me and Mo have talked about him a lot too, but like Mac Boucher has definitely influenced me in order somehow I make my content, does model after him.
Is he Canadian too?
He's Canadian, yeah. He's from Toronto, and also he plays like an hour away from me at Bear Mountain. So like he's on the island, same area that I kind of play in. So that's probably why he started popping up on my feed. I remember started following him around like 70,000 followers or something, and that's when his stuff was like nonstop on my feed. It was like as soon as I opened my phone, it was on there. So, yeah, and once I saw his stuff, I was like, right, like one of the biggest things on social media is some of the best creators copy. So
Yeah.
it's just you look at what he's doing, try to do it, maybe put your own little spin on it, and his stuff does very well. That kind of helped me figure out a path to what to do. And once I got on that trip that June, I went from like just under 3,000 to the end of the year to 11. And then this year it's doubled. So not as fast as some of the creators, but you know what? Everyone kind of grows at their own speed. And I'm kind of thankful for where I'm at right now. So
How do you shoot your content? Do you produce it all and edit it all yourself?
I do edit it all myself. I do everything on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. So everything's done just filming on a phone. But Drake, who's here today, he's helped me in my last few YouTube videos. Finally getting a camera guy out there. We get some drone shots. So the YouTube channel's kind of taken off a little bit with that extra production. And yeah, it's been fun. So like different platforms require different things. I feel like YouTube's more of a production style content than it is just clipping certain things. So yeah, it's just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, the only time I ever had anyone else help me whatsoever was in September when I went to Manitoba. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
How did you, once you start growing, did you reach out to companies maybe, or did companies reach out to you? I'm guessing it started maybe as people wanting you to just use their stuff, and I guess we're going to get to monetization, but how do you start working with people and start realizing that you can maybe monetize this at some point?
Yeah, so the very first company to ever reach out to me was Proud 90, and I'll always have something like, just I guess it'll always first like, for example, first massive golf course you play, or your first birdie, your first whatever, those things stick with you. So there was the first company to ever reach out to me, and they wanted to give me and Matt, the other guy I was doing my YouTube videos and matches with at the time, they wanted to give me and him just a shirt to wear in videos. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like, someone else to give me a shirt. And so we wore the shirts in the YouTube videos. And then after that, they're like, hey, we liked what you guys did. And it put us on like this athlete sponsorship, but it wasn't a paid deal. So they had some guys on a payroll at the time. They don't have anybody anymore, but they have certain people that they just, if I want something, I just say, hey, can we send in an order? Yep. And they just send it out right away. So it's super cool that way. Like, and I'll always probably rep their stuff somehow because they helped me when first person ever reach out, here's some free stuff. And it was super cool. And honestly, that phone call or that message you get in that first meeting or whatever it's it's super cool. Like you feel like you're just bigger than what you are. And I think at the time I had like 8 or 9,000 followers, maybe 10. And it was just, yeah, it was just a super cool feeling. But since then I've had some bigger companies reach out. But Proud 90 has definitely helped.
Well, let's talk about your golf trip then that you're wrapping up here at the tail end of, because you've got a kind of a sponsor for that, right?
I do, yeah. So this trip that I'm on right now, so it's sponsored by a company called Splash Sports. So they've done like run pool and office pools, and now they're kind of bringing in like a actual one where you can put money on the site, but you're actually only playing against your friends. So you don't play against the host, so it's super cool. So if 3 of us here, Drake, me, and you, wanted to go and play and do a fantasy pool for the week in football, well, we're going to retain, I think it's like 95% of the money, but they have the platform for you to do it all. So you don't have to worry about making it up, spending the time, and it's just super cool that way. They do stuff with like, they're just starting and just new, but I think it's NFL, basketball, and golf. So I'm running a contest, one of the first golf ones for them for the Hero World Challenge. So it'd be super cool if you want to follow it. Honestly, hit the link.
We'll have everything linked down in the description, and tagged on Instagram and everywhere where you can go and
I think
check them out.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I was just looking at their map, and Nevada is one of the 4 or 5 states that you can't play in. So I think they're trying to get all over the United States. And again, they're so new, and they're hoping to get into Canada at sometime in the new year, which would be big for me because I know a lot of people would sign up. But yeah, it's just a fun way to play with your friends, have a little money on the side, and you don't have to worry about it. The setting up part, like how big of a hassle is that sometimes?
It's a great concept. I love it. So let's talk about this trip that they put on for you. Take us through the whole thing.
So it started November 7th, I believe.
And we're on the 22nd.
We're on the 22nd, yeah. So coming right down to the end, I flew out on the 24th. So I flew out on the 7th, got down to Phoenix, and then I played. Man, you're testing my memory right now. What did I play first? Quintero. So I played Quintero first, and then I went and played Arizona Grand. And I wasn't supposed to play. I played Quintero and then True North the next day. And then I wasn't supposed to play the next day, and then I found a deal on Golf Now. Went and played Arizona Grand for like $26. And then True North, talked to them, met the GM, invited me to come back out the next day after that. That was supposed to be a day off. So I ended up playing the other course at True North, and that place was phenomenal. I also played at Indian Wells too, and then Quintero, all these Troon courses, and gotta say I'm a huge Troon guy, like huge Troon fan. Just something about how they take care of their places is just unbelievable. It's like next level. And then I went out to, I know I can talk enough about Troon, like the condition and everything, but the one that blew me away was my next one, which was my 5th round, which went out to Sedona and played at Sedona Golf Resort.
It's a great spot.
And
I was actually born in Sedona. So,
were you?
Yeah, my dad built Oak Creek Canyon Country Club
oh, wow.
there. Yeah, but I know the area very, very well. And that's a gem, that golf course you played. It's gorgeous.
I had more DMs about going out there than anything else in Phoenix. It's like, are you going to go out to Sedona? Are you going to go to Sedona? And I'm like, where is this place? And when I looked it up, and I think there was one picture with that mountain behind the green, or I don't know what you want to call it, dune. I don't know what it is, and it's got all those spikes sticking up out of it, and I was just like, that looks so cool. And then I went and looked up some other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I have to go out here. So I figured out a way. It was a 2-hour drive out. Got out there and did not disappoint. If you ever go to Phoenix on a golf trip, I've actually told 2 people that have messaged me about, hey, what are some courses? Like, if you have the time, drive out there and play that course, because it feels like doesn't feel like you're in the desert, doesn't feel like you're on this planet. It's super cool. It's an experience I don't think you'll get anywhere else. yeah, it blew me away. So
Shout out Jeremy Heyman, who's the general manager out there. I would be remiss if we weren't talking your golf course up. And now I'm going to have to let you know that you made the show. Yeah, he's a really good guy that runs that golf course. So you wrap up Phoenix and then you go visit Big Mo next, or what happens
yeah,
next?
so actually the one other thing that was super cool about Phoenix was then I went to play the next day. I played Talking Stick, and I got to play with a follower. Now, one thing that I do that I've been doing since I started this is because I started traveling, and that's kind of what I do with my page, travel and go play golf courses all over the place. If someone messaged me and says, hey, if you're ever in this area, you want to play with me, I'll put down their handle, their name, and the area that they're in. And then when I go to that area, I'll message them, see if they want to link up. Something like I think that is super important, because if it wasn't for that person following, liking, commenting, sharing my stuff,
Right,
I
you don't grow.
wouldn't be able to even golf for free. I wouldn't have brand deals or anything like that. So it's super important for me to try to link up with these people. I think that's huge. And so I reached out to Luke, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to come, love to play with you. So it's funny. I thought he was in Scottsdale. Learned that he went to Grand Canyon University. But right now he's living in Colorado. So he flew from Colorado to meet me.
To play with you.
Yeah, but he's got a bunch of friends down there. So I think he played like 2 or 3 rounds for the weekend and then played with me. And it was so cool. He's such a good guy. And I
So
enjoy
let's shout
that.
him out.
Luke Thomas, yeah.
Luke Thomas.
Yeah, so such a good guy. And then we went to Top Golf later that night. And then another guy that follows the page, again, Push the Golfer. He came and he's just starting to get into it and just came. We had a good time, and it was just super fun. And that's kind of the stuff I really want to do with this when I travel around. Just engage with the people that follow me if I can and meet them. And I enjoy just meeting new people. Like, I normally go on these trips by myself. I was in Phoenix by myself. Drake met me Drake from Golf Highway. So met me in Utah, and he's then here in Vegas with me. But if I'm not, most of these are by myself. So if I can meet up with the followers and do stuff, it makes it more fun for me too.
Well, let's get back to the trip in a second then, because you're kind of teasing one of the questions that I'm going to ask, so we'll just ask it now. What do you see your future of your channels looking like? Do you have a plan? Because that kind of sounds like something along those lines.
Yeah. We have some stuff. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put it out
You don't
there.
have to share it if
No,
you don't want.
I will. So, like, this, I don't think I've told some people, like, hey, we're starting this up. I've never ever said the name or anything. So we're starting a clothing company up that's going to have a really cool concept behind it. And golfers are they're going to extremely love it. So we're starting a clothing company up, and it's going to run off my YouTube channel. We're going to play matches on the YouTube channel against some pretty well-known people, and we have a couple already set up. It's not for sure, so I don't know. Well, yeah, one of them's Michael Block.
Wow, how
Yeah,
cool.
so I'll get into that text.
Boys, he had a good year.
I'll tell you the DM text message, because it kind of, like, when I first got that one, I was just like, it stopped me in my tracks. But so this company that we're starting up is called Go Low Golf. And the concept behind it is we want to give back to the people that buy and follow. So I think the first one we're going to do is we're going to try to give away a driver. So we're going to put an X amount of pieces of items up for sale, like a limited drop. You buy one, you get put in the raffle to win a driver. That would be the start. Now the next one would be even bigger. The next one would be even bigger. So that's kind of the whole thing, is to get people to, like, engage, give back to them somehow. And that's kind of the whole process behind that, tied in with my YouTube channel. Now, this is funny. So I reached out, again, just sending people DMs and trying to connect that way, as I've learned is a simple DM can get you so much. So I messaged Block and said, hey, we're starting this up. What we're going to be doing is some money games on the YouTube channel. And he's like, send me specifics. So I sent him what our game was, and he's like, that's too complicated. And he's like, 10K straight up. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like,
whoa. And
I was just like, So I sent it to the guy that's, like, helping me out. He's like, we might have to find someone better. I was like, yeah. So we're going to hopefully set that up sometime in the new year. We have to tie it in with what we're doing. So we got to make sure our clothing and everything's set up first before we can get into that. Another guy that I'd like to play that I've been talking to there is also CVA Golf.
Sure. He's been out here a couple times already with the Golf Fathers. So shout out Carter. Yeah, he's a fun character.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good time.
It would be. So, and the whole idea behind it is just one thing that I really like. I just like making really good content. So, but if someone puts up 10K, I think I probably have to buckle down and try to win. So, and then again, just on this trip, just with sent a simple DM to like Gipper Finau, and we did a super cool collab. And yeah, it's just simple DMs get you a long way. But going back to the trip.
Yeah.
So finished in Phoenix at Legacy with Golf Shot. And now going back with companies that work with me, Golf Shot's been a huge supporter of me for the last 5-6 months. I've had a deal with them the rest of the year, met up with them in Phoenix. Played a round of golf with a couple of the people at the company, and it was a great time. And again, we'll get into more monetizing stuff after that. But yeah, just Golf Shot's been a huge supporter of me. The app's pretty cool. I think it's the number one rated golf app it is the number one rated golf app. Just what it can do for you and help you in the swing analysis. If you have an Apple Watch, it can tell you everything about your swing. So it's super cool. Keep your stats like every other golf app, but this one goes in more detail, strokes gained and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a really cool app. And honestly, the people that are behind it are just super cool. I love working with them and met up with them at Legacy where they played. That was it. And that was a great way to end that trip. Flew out to Utah, or flew to Vegas, rented a car, picked up Drake, Golf Highway, and then drove out to Utah to meet up with Mo, and we filmed a pretty cool Ryder Cup video because there was another guy out there from Toronto, actually. So Morg's Golf was out there. So me and Morg played Mo and his D1 buddy.
How fun.
Yeah, so we had a Canada versus US Ryder Cup. That'll be like a 6-part series, 3 holes each. So it's just super cool. And yeah, it's we all had a blast filming it. And yeah, it's just a ton of fun. And then I went out to Sand Hollow, and that's where I met Gipper. And yeah,
another gorgeous golf course.
Yeah, that hole 10 to 15 there might be the best, definitely the best 5-hole stretch I played, or 6-hole stretch I played on this trip. But the only other course that I can say, like in the 9 holes that compares, like the 9 holes at Kananaskis Mount Lorette golf course in Kananaskis, Alberta, I thought nothing would compare to it. And Sand Hollow you could coin flip it. Like that back 9 is out of this world.
Yeah.
So, and then played there with Gipper, learned a lot. And then we filmed a really, really cool video at Copper Rock the next day with him as a scramble. But honestly, the golf is probably second to this video because when we went through it, Gipper was walking through, like, because he was Tony's his brother. He was Tony's coach for 4 years on tour. He's worked with so many tour players. He's starting to get into coaching again, and it's just super cool, like the knowledge that guy has behind golf. I learned more in 2 days than I have in 10 years, and it's just how he reads screens. And there's one point in the video, I've watched these clips back on my phone how many times, and there's one point in this video where it's just like, it clicks for me, and I go, oh, this all makes sense. And just how he reads screens, and I've put it on my story, and I have like a bunch of DMs about it. He talks about finding the 0 line on the green and going to the high point, turning it all into cement, pour a bucket of water. Where's the water going to run to? And then that's where the straight putt is. You have to find the straight putt. Now, if it's a straight putt, you got to try to find the line. Now, if you're above the hole, you got to try to hit it so that it funnels down on this line. If it hits that line and it starts running, it's going to go right in the hole. It just simplifies putting and just simplifies golf so much. And it's just the way here's a crazy story about Gipper. We're on hole 17. The guy's 29 hole-in-ones. We're on 17 at Copper Rock, and it's a 115-yard elevated par 3. And he's reading the green from 115 yards away. And he's like, yeah, but if I land it there, it should just funnel right in the hole. I think I'm going to get number 30 right now. I'm like, man, you think on a different level.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool. So finished out there, and the next day we just played another round with Mo. Drake and I filmed a match at Coral and Coral Canyon, and yeah, now we're out here.
Well, I can't wait to catch all of that stuff. It sounds like you've got all sorts of good stuff cooking. What's your favorite round of golf you've ever played? Do you think you could narrow that down? Do you have one round that you still think back and think that was the one?
Well, my favorite round I ever played would probably be the first ever time I played Silvertip in Canmore, Alberta. It was my first mountain golf experience. We went to visit my sister and her family, and me and my brother-in-law. It was October, like it's like hit or miss if you could play then in Alberta, but I think it was like 20 degrees. We were in shorts and t-shirt, and again, that's Celsius.
Yeah.
So I don't know, 72 or something like that. So we were out there in short and t-shirt, and it's just something. Like, there's this one hole, like, it's my favorite hole in the world, hole 2. It's like a 502 yard par 5, and the mountain range in the background is called the Three Sisters, and it's just a straight hole and these massive mountains in the background. And yeah, it doesn't help that I've now played that course 3 times and I've gone birdie, eagle, birdie on it. That does kind of help.
That'll help if your favorite hole.
Just when you walk up to that tee box, I just picturing it right now, like it blows you away, and it's my favorite hole in the world. But it's hole 2, so like the course just hits you right away.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just my first ever mountain experience. When you walk in there, you drive up this thing, you got the chalets on the right, and then the clubhouse, and you're driving up. And then once you get past like the golf shop and the restaurant, and there's a big mountain range with the range right there. It's just super cool. And then you don't really get the full effect of it, because when you walk out, there's like a 7 or 8 foot high stone wall that like kind of blocks you off from the driving range, and you have to walk up these steps to get out there. And then you kind of walk up these steps, and to me, the only thing I can experience is be like a baseball player coming out of the tunnel onto the field. You kind of like walk up these steps, and you just see this massive mountain, this big driving range. It's such a cool feeling. So that would be my best golf experience. But I could talk about that course forever. Like hole 18, just a super cool downhill par 4. You have to hit it like, I think you can have like 170, 180 in, but it's literally on like
Oof.
You could roll down the hill. You literally could. Like, some guys have driven it to like over 400 yards on hole, like 40, 50 yards out, because if you hit this certain spot, it just runs all the way down.
All the way down.
Yeah. So, but if you can get your ball on the top and you can hit from down there, you got like a 100 or like a 200 yard shot in that probably plays about like 140. And they got this beautiful clubhouse at the bottom. You got the mountains in the background. You got a pond left of the green, and it's just a magical place. Like, that's my favorite golf course in the world. So many people talk that it's quirky. I don't care. It's just, to me, it's first ever mountain golf experience. It blew me away then, and it's just stuck with me. And I love that place. But my best round, I guess, in a way, would probably be 66, but I shot that in the rain. So that was
shot that in the rain?
I wasn't even supposed to play the back 9 either, so Silvertip's my best golf experience, but the best round is 66, and it was in November, and it was just raining. It didn't rain on us. We started on the back 9, it didn't rain on us, and then I think I was 2 under on the first 9, and then that's nothing special. It's good, but nothing's like special. And then the guys in my group like pushed me to keep going. I'm like, but it's going to start pouring in like 20 minutes. And like, well, let's just go see if it rains. But if you get out past 1, you're screwed. You're going to just keep playing that course. You're not going to turn back. And then I birdied hole 1, which would have been hole 10 on that day. And now I'm 3 under. And the guy's like, I guess you're committed now. And I'm like, I guess so. And then nothing really special happened. Just kind of smacked it around. But then I birdied 7, 8, and 9 to shoot 66.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's that putt for 66 like?
So it was a cool experience because, well, actually, I think it was it was a 5 or 6 footer. It was a 5 or 6 footer, but it was the hole before that was kind of the light bulb moment for me in that round, because I like stuffed one on a par 3, it was like 140 yards to like 2 feet, and just tapped it in. And I was like, I literally turned to my group and I'm like, I feel like the guy off Caddyshack right now. And like, I'm holding an umbrella, and there's like rain. There is rain just like coming down off it. I'm like, why am I out here? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm about to I could shoot 66, and my best round before that is 67, but it was on a par 70, so it was only 3 under. And I've shot 69 before, 3 under, and a par 72. So my best round before that was only 3 under. Shot 67, so I was like, okay. So going into hole 9 was a par 5, dogleg right. I think it's like 500, just over 500 yards. And I hit a really good drive down the left side over by the bunker and had like 210 in or whatever it was. And I hit one just short of the green, 20 yards short of the green. And I was so worried about losing my ball because there's water right. This was at Nanaimo Golf Club. And it's like a 20-yard landing area between the water and the willows on the left. So I was just like, just get this somewhere up there. And it's cold, like 6-7 degrees. It's raining. Got it up there, chipped it onto like 6 feet. And then, yeah, when you're saying that putt, it mattered to me because I shot 67. It's not 67, but it was only 300. So in my head, I'm like, this is still going to be your best round. So there wasn't so much pressure with it for me because, like, this is still, if you miss this is still going to be your best round 5 under ever. And, yeah, just.
That's so cool.
I made it, and I was just like, that's cool. Now I bettered 67 and shot 66, and I haven't come close since.
What's the hardest you've ever laughed on a golf course?
Holy smokes. I'd have to be when I played up north sometime. Man, that place was wild.
With old pals or something?
Yeah, like I lived up in northern Alberta for 7 years, and it's different. Like when I first went up there, I moved up there, 27 years. I've been here for 3, 2014, 2015. 2014 we moved up there, and I lived up there for 7 years. I remember when I first went there, first tournament I ever played there. And there's like, what they have is called the Oilman's. And anyone, if you're in Canada listening to this, you kind of know what an Oilman's golf tournament looks like. And it's just a circus. And there's guys one guy, like, just all of a sudden, he was passed out, shirt off. They strapped up his arms on the back of the cart like this. And they're dragging him around on the back. And I'm just like, where am I? I'm used to, like, just, like, having fun on a golf course. But, man, do they take it to another level up there. Like, guys are coming up to me like every 2 seconds, like a bottle of Fireball or whatever. And it's just like trying to, I'm like, yeah, so I'm not a big drinker. So it's just like, no, I'm good. I'm just like, and they're like, no, you're it's just like.
They go hard.
That's an understatement. Yeah. It's such a good time though. It's such good people up there. They know how to have fun. That's for sure. So, and, yeah, it's a crazy place, but I had a lot of laughs up there, a lot of good times. The people are it's just awesome to be. It's different. It's to me how golf is up there is how golf should be. Just respect the course, but man, you should have a time. Blast music, do whatever you want. Honestly, I think you should be able to wear whatever you want, and they kind of take it to the next level. Dogs and maybe shirtless. Maybe that's crossed the line.
Too far.
But yeah, like I had my buddy one time. Oh, here's a funny story. I think we were coming down 9. We're playing for money. He's blacked out at this time. He's got no shirt on, and I just come down the hill, take a left, and he just out the cart.
Oh no, just eats it.
Oh yeah, and I look back and he's not moving. I'm just gonna keep going. He'll catch up. So, yeah, no, it's just that kind of stuff. So you do whatever you want, and it's just super fun that way. You always go out there, you know you're going to have a good time. It's never going to be serious, and yeah, it's just a super cool place.
Well, that's the dynamic that we talk about a lot on this show is new golf, especially since the pandemic. People seem to have more fun with the sport than necessarily the purists did. And that is exciting, but it brings up challenges, which kind of rolls into my next question I always ask guests. What are things that you're not crazy about golf, or what are some things you would change if you could? Is there anything like that?
Like the old boys club.
Yep, it comes up a lot.
Like it's okay. So the club I used to be a member at, everything about it needs to change, and it's just the fact that if you're not doing this or that or this, they're going to tell you to stop. Like I was out there with one day, we're just putting around, and the guy I was golfing with had his hat on backwards, and the pro comes to turn your hat around. It's like, man, like lighten up, like have a good time. They really, really hated that I filmed on the golf course. Like no one would even talk to me. And it was just like, man, you're getting free marketing out of this. It's like, maybe we should figure out a way to work with each other. And I get the standpoint behind it if you're just starting out, because you don't really have any credibility to why you're doing it. So, but once you get to a certain point where you have some credibility, like, they should realize the value behind that, and the value behind a social media and just a golf influencer is going to be huge. It's just kind of blowing up this year, and the next 3 to 5 years is going to be eye opening to the golf industry. But yeah, changing that whole aspect of you can only do this, you can only do that. Here's a question: why can't we take a golf cart 10 feet from the green?
Yeah.
Why, like, as long as you don't drive on it, like, I get the point of saving, like, keeping the grass, like, nice around the greens, but I don't know how much damage would it really do. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's all interesting things to talk about as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I mean, that's one that I think I understand, but that's from working in the golf industry and knowing our studio here is on top of the maintenance building, and I know how the guys downstairs would feel about that. But it's all super interesting because I tend to agree with more of the new golf, and that's why I like the dynamic, is because I'm a third generation golfer. I was raised as a purist in the game.
Yeah.
And I've always been waiting for golf to loosen up and get rid of the good old boy stigma, or at least break that up and loosen that up a little bit. And it's happening. It's starting to happen.
It's starting to happen. And, like, again, like, I know we talked about before the show, but even the guy, like, started to hop on my podcast, but, like, which is kind of stopped for now, but his name's Golf Van, and he comes from the minority of golfers, and they want to just go out there and have fun. And it's just you got to be able to, like, I was in the golf industry too, from when I was 16 till I moved up north when I was 20. So 7-8 years I was in the golf industry. I had my pro card for 2. So I understand the industry, and I remember being in it, and it's like, oh, we got to include young golfers. How do we grow the game? That's always a question. How do you grow the game? Well, you have the biggest opportunity right now ever in the golf industry to grow the game. You have to change. And if you don't change, it's just going to go back to where it was before COVID. And golf was dying before COVID. And if you don't change and go with what's coming, especially like live and music and letting people play what they want to play, or wear what they want to wear, let them have fun. If they're a little loud, whatever. It is what it is. Like, we're not playing on tour. If someone yells in your backswing, take another shot.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter. That shot doesn't matter. So go out and have fun to whatever you think golf is fun. If you want to take 10 mulligans, take 10 mulligans. Whatever it takes for you to enjoy it the most, do it. If you're not playing for money, if you're not playing out there to win a tournament, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I love that. What's your favorite thing about golf?
Social aspect. By far.
The people.
Yeah, by far. It's one thing. I just love the social aspect of it for the simple fact, like, I've played competitive sports my whole life. I do like the competitive part of it. But it's a completely different animal in golf. Competitive golf it's completely different. It's just, here's your normal weekend golf, and competitive golf couldn't be further away. But something, when I was up north playing slow pitch, I didn't even like playing. I'd rather just sit on the bench, maybe have, and again, not a big drinker, but maybe sit there and have 1 or 2 beers over 3 hours and just sit there and talk to people. I'd rather not play. So I like the social aspect of it and just being out there and being with people, meeting people, like, again, like in Phoenix, like why I met with Luke. Anybody I'd join up with, like, it's just fun meeting people from all around the world, and just the people I've met on social media. That's the biggest thing about golf that I think is so cool. It's just the social aspect. You can play with anybody at any time, anywhere, and you can meet some really great people.
Yep. Yeah, that's my favorite. The people and the culture I really like. I just want to change the culture a little bit.
Yeah.
Improve it, right?
What would be the one thing in the culture that what's your biggest thing?
Mine is inclusion. I think it's always seemed elitist, and I love when people come on the show and they say, I've actually experienced racism in golf shops before, and I don't love hearing about that. I love platforming that, because that still happens, but it is happening less and less, and it needs to. In my opinion, we need to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what my biggest. It's the. I think there's something to be said for tradition, and I love the tradition in golf, but golf's got to grow to be as inclusive as I think it needs to be. It needs to grow in different ways than it is, but it's starting to do that again too. I think
Yeah, I think there's always going to be that old school clubs. I don't think you'll ever get away from them, and I think golf still needs that in a way. Like the history of the game, you'll have those huge private clubs. They're paying $100,000 a year to play. You're probably going to have some rules.
Yeah,
you're paying for that.
Yeah.
So
and there's a spot for exclusive
exactly.
clubs. I get it.
Yeah. So, but public golf courses, like some of the ones, like if you can change and you can get with what's going on and the wave that's coming, if you're struggling right now, if you decide to figure out how to change and how to get with it, you might just surpass all the clubs that are kind of doing well right now. So yeah. I think there's a huge wave. One of the ones that pops up on my feed all the time, actually yours does too. You guys are doing some great things on social media.
Thank you.
But another one is Dobson Ranch.
Dobson Ranch, we've had Drew. Shout out Drew at the ranch. We've had Drew sat here, and he kind of started that down there, and we love them. We have our strongest tie to them through Random Golf Club.
Nice.
And that's a really cool group doing cool new things in golf too.
Exactly. Like Nick Delfico and CEO Golf and Easy Golfer are there all the time. Blake Mullen's there. And it's just, look at those 3 or 4 people, along with what Dobson does on their own social media, will turn that place into a hotbed in Phoenix when you go there.
Yeah.
So if you can figure out a way, just the golf industry, to get a few influencers in to play your course, I think it's huge. And like, for example, when I was in Utah and I was talking to Morgs, he was talking to Marco, the head pro. Was it head pro GM at Coral Canyon? And he was like, yeah, Mo's pretty much single-handedly saved this golf course.
Yeah.
So
he wanted to come platform it on this show. When I told him I wanted him to be on the show and tell his story, he said, as long as I can tell the story about St. George Golf Course.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really neat of him to want to platform his hometown and his area so much.
Yeah, well, Mo's probably one of the most down-to-earth people I've ever met in my life, and such a good dude. But yeah, no, it's just super cool hearing that, and then seeing what those guys have done with Dobson since they've been there for the last 2 or 3 months, and what you guys are doing here. I think one of the guys that pops up on my feed all the time is Scales. Like, yeah. He's on your range like every other day.
he was grinding last night with with scarves. He goes live all the time. So Scales and I, he's our most frequent range rat. Yeah.
So it's just super cool seeing that. And then the more and more people are doing it, the more and more they're there. It's, even if you have a little following, those people, when they come there, are going to want to come to that place.
Yeah.
It's just the whole additive of, why do you have a billboard? You see things certain amount of times, you're going to want to go there.
That's right.
So it's kind of the new marketing tool, which is super cool. But yeah.
That was fun, Josh. I think now we're going to go to our par 5 of questions.
Yep.
So this is where I ask the same questions of all the guests, and we just kind of bounce around how different the answers are. It's kind of fun. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. Question number 1. What's your favorite golf movie?
Happy Gilmore.
Because of hockey, I'm guessing.
It's just a...
And Sandler.
Yeah, it's just a hilarious movie.
Oh, it's great. It's great. We get that one a lot.
Yeah.
Question number 2. What's your favorite golf club in your bag and why?
Driver.
Your driver.
Driver, yeah, I hit it really well. And if it's on, the game just becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people say that is getting the first shot in play and good it helps the entire game.
Yeah, it used to be my short game, my putter, and then over the last 3-4 years, definitely my driver. But being with Gipper there in Phoenix, in Utah, he kind of gave me a couple pointers on better ball striking. And yesterday I probably had my best ball striking day of my life. So
how fun.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things, and I was hitting it right on the square in the face the whole time. And I was like, that actually might be more fun. But yeah, right now it's still my driver. Maybe my ball striking eventually. But yeah, nothing beats hitting it right in the center of the face and that feeling. And probably the driver, I do that more often than not.
Yeah. Question number 3. You've already mentioned that you're not much of a drinker. So what's your aiming fluid? So what are you drinking on the golf course? If you're anti-alcohol, are you also anti like caffeine, stuff like that? Do you try to?
No, I'm not anti-caffeine. I usually drink coffee every day. Funny thing is, on this trip, that cup on the side of the table is my first cup of coffee I've drank in like almost 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Which is weird. So, yeah, water, which is not very, not a very fun answer, but that's pretty much it.
We get water a lot. That's definitely the second most common answer, to beers. Question number 4. How do you deal with anger on the golf course? Have you been a club thrower? The original question was what swear word do you tend to repeat more than others? Because golfers have that. But now we're an edited show. But so to kind of get into the same idea of the question, how do you deal with your anger? Because most golfers tend to beat themselves up or have a release.
It comes out very, very seldom now. Like I'll get mad, maybe just like be frustrated for like 10 seconds. And that might not be great for social. I don't know. I don't know what would be better for social media. People want to see people like super mad and frustrated and getting beat up on the golf course. I don't know.
Yeah.
The more emotion and the more flair you have is obviously probably better for social media. But I don't really technically get too mad. I can maybe count in the last like 2 years how many times I've thrown a club on one hand. It does come out every once in a while. Definitely throw it as far away from the course as I can. Like I think I threw one and it ran down the cart path, and I'm like, I hope that thing's not completely messed up.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, it's I would just say I try to forget about it. Like I don't get too high, don't get too low on a golf course. Because golf's one of those sports where if you get too high, things could go bad real quick, and then your low is just super low after that. So if you can try to stay even keel,
balance.
Yeah, it's better. But I probably have to, for social media in general, probably maybe should show a little bit more emotion on my page.
On it.
Yeah, so happy or frustrated, probably both angles. I'm probably super even keel, like almost sometimes emotionless. But yeah, it's golf. If you play tournament, definitely just you should be flatlined.
Yeah. All right, my favorite question number 5. I'm going to give you your dream foursome. So I want you to pick 3 people to go play golf with, any 3 people, alive or dead, that have ever been. Who are you going to go play golf with, and where are you going to go play?
I would love to play Augusta because I'll probably never get there.
We get that one a lot.
Yeah. Because St. Andrews is second on my list, but I think you can play St. Andrews. You just need to get there and wait in line at 2 a.m. or 12 at night or whatever it is.
Yep. No, we've had guests on here who've done it. Yeah.
So, so that one's playable. So it's not as exclusive, and most people will never play Augusta. So I think Augusta would be the course. Now, definitely would love to play it. Tiger would be in there. I'd like to play with Phil and Tiger. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun to see that. And then probably Brooks.
Brooks Koepka gets, I think that's the 4th or 5th time we've had him, and that keeps surprising me.
He's just off the cuff. Like, I think, like, when I played with Gipper, like, we were playing a match at Sand Hall in the front nine. I missed a 4-footer, and he let me have it. And I'm like, that's what I like about it. Like, even if it's like, if you're not playing for money or not, even that little bit of competitiveness, even if you were playing a match with Brooks, I'd like to play like a 2v2 and him being on the other team, and just to feel that experience of like, I think he would chirp the shit out of me. And it would just be fun. Like, that's what I like about it. Like, as long as it's all fun and games. But yeah, no, I think it'd be fun. Tiger just because it's Tiger Woods, and then Phil lefty. But also, I'd like to see Tiger and Phil play against each other live, right up in person. I think that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Josh, thank you so much for coming on, my guy.
Thank you. That was fun.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Down in the description, again, you're going to be able to find all of the different companies that Josh has worked with and is working with. So please go check them out. And thank you again for watching. We will see you next week. Until next time, hit them straight. From your friends at Angel Park, cheers. Bingo,
That was awesome.
Fun, right?
That was fun.
Good job, guys.
It's a good time.
Fun, yeah.